Today we're creating a really pretty card using only cardstock. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today I am working with some gorgeous cardstock from the 12x12 Cardstock shop, and this is the Take 2 challenge. So I am taking a project that was done previously by one of the 12x12 Cardstock design team members and am recreating it in my own way. So today I am taking inspiration from this Sending Hugs to My Favorite Person card. This was an Instagram post, and I will link the post in the description box below if you want to see the original. But basically, they used different cardstocks to create, like different colored die-cut hugs on the card, and then they stamped Sending to My Favorite Person, and then added some little heart embellishments. So I am going to be doing kind of an ombre with pink for mine today, and I am going to be using the word thanks instead of hugs. So from the 12x12 cardstock shop, I have the Glamour Pink matte foil cardstock. This is just so pretty. I don't even want to cut into it. And then the light pink flower from Coordinations. It's got some texture to it, and it is white on the back. And then I have the Encore Snappy Pink textured cardstock. So it does have a little bit of texture to it on one side. The other side is smoother. And then my final paper is the Rose Quartz Pearlescent from Nina. And so it is, I don't know if you can see the pearlescent on the camera, but it is like very pretty. And it still has a little bit of a matte feel to it. So I'm going to kind of do, like I said, an ombre with the word thanks on my card. So I'm going to go ahead and get these trimmed out and run them through my die cutter, and then we will touch base again and put together the card. I started by cutting 1.5-inch strips from each of the cardstocks and then took them over to my Big Shot and ran them through with the thanks die multiple times. So I have my piles here, and I'm going to be using just a plain white A2 card base. It is 110-pound cardstock and 4¼ by 5½. And I'm going to go ahead, like I said earlier, I was going to do ombre. And so I'm going to be working from lightest to darkest. So the darkest there at the bottom is the matte foil pink. And then I've got the light pink flower, and then the snappy pink textured, and then the rose quartz pearlescent is the one at the top. And my thanks die, the K stands up a little bit. And so I am going to end up having to stagger them just a little bit so that they can kind of fit better on the card. So I'm going to take the pink matte foil one at the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead, I brought in my T-square ruler to help me make sure everything is lined up. So the matte foil pink one at the bottom, I'm going to line it up like right there at the edge of my ruler, and then the snappy pink one, I will line that up with the matte foil, and then the other two I'm going to kind of scooch to the left just a hair so that the K kind of fits into the K's fit into the gaps of each other, if that makes sense. Just using some Barely Art glue to add to the back of my word, and we'll glue that down. So I did end up cutting the word thanks 3 times from each of those strips. And so a couple things you could do, you could layer all 3 of those together to add some dimension to the card. I am actually going to be making 3 different cards. I wanted to do the ombre. I knew I wanted to try the ombre 2 different ways, like going from light to dark and then from dark to light. And then I just figured I'd go ahead and use up the rest of that strip so it didn't go to waste, and create a couple more cards with what I could get from those 4 strips, or from the rest of those 4 strips. So I'm skipping up to the snappy pink thanks now, because I'm lining that up with the one at the bottom. One thing I did like about her hugs die in the inspiration piece was that it took up more space, more presence on the card front. But I also really needed a thank you card, so wanted to use her inspiration to create kind of my own spin and a card that I needed. So now for these 2 thanks, I am scooting my T-square ruler to the left so it overhangs my card base by about 1/4 of an inch, maybe, and then am lining up the T with where that is. And so you can see it's not a whole lot of difference in spacing, but it does allow the K's to kind of fit a little bit better. And I do want to say I apologize about my voice. I am dealing with a cold, so there is some nasally tones and some raspiness, and so bear with me. It is that time of year when the weather keeps changing and colds can be inevitable. So now we're going to glue this last one down. Again, a little bit further to the left. And then in the inspiration piece, she had a stamp to the left, like going vertically up the left side of her hugs. And then she also had a stamped phrase kind of in the middle of the hugs that continued the sentiment. So I am pulling out a stamp that said just wanted to say, and so I'm kind of making sure, like, getting an idea of where I want to put it. And then I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to test stamp it onto some scrap cardstock, and then which I did off camera, and then stamp it directly to my card base. I tested it just to make sure it was going to stamp clean, since it was going directly on my card base. And then I also have the word "and," so I'm going to stamp this down in between the 3rd and 4th thanks. So my full sentiment is just wanted to say thanks, 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 and thanks. And then also in the inspiration piece, she had some little heart embellishments, and so I pulled out a Love from Lizzie strip or a Love from Lizzie sheet that has some iridescent glittered pink hearts, and I'm just going to add those around the just wanted to say kind of at the bottom, and then I'm going to put one over off to the right hand side where my word "and" is stamped. So you get just a hint of glitter and some extra texture there. So here's the card we just made. I made another one similar to that, and then I did the reverse where I started with the matte foil and ended with the rose gold pearlescent. And then because I had space left on my strip but not enough to do another thanks, I did a hello, and so I decided to go ahead and do a version with that. But because the die was smaller, I brought in a matte and then some white cardstock to back my hello. And again, I have just wanted to say hello, 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 and then thinking of you. And then I just used a small heart punch from that matte foil and added that kind of as my heart accents around. So hope you guys enjoyed my card. Please be sure to check out the links in the description box below for the inspiration piece and the products I used today. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you all have a very crafty day.